From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big Monday morning of early mornings LALATE with incredible great details about your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. First, we're going to go over that monthly stimulus check and why you may be getting more months of checks, OMG. Then we turn to the fourth stimulus recon and why you may be getting actually more money than even those stimulus checks additional. And then we'll turn to the exciting details about the vote and how they're doing the vote right and what they're doing with the vote this week. It's all really exciting, great news. Then we turn to Vistimulus, which heats up this fall with another stimulus check coming in January. And we turn to the big money across the board as viewers get $22,000 from this channel, $10,000, $12,000. It's a big day. It's a big early mornings. It's your day to get this morning as well, this money as well. This toast is toasted, the butter is buttering, the coffee's brewing. I'm here, you're here, and this is Early Mornings LALATE. Everybody, how are you doing? I hope you had a beautiful weekend. I hope you had a beautiful 4th of July as well. Best 4th of July wishes to you and your family. And how's the weather this morning? How's the weather? Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. It's good here. It could be better. But I'll deal with how it is right now with you in Santa Monica, California. In this fourth stimulus check updated 2021, we'll start with the check and the number of checks. Is there now indication we could be getting more months of checks? I'll have all the details. Then we turn to the exciting fourth stimulus recon, where your checks are in. Is there additional money on top of that for you in the recon? There is. I'll go over what's happening with that. Then we'll go over the voting process and how doing it right is the way you got to do it right. And I'll go over what they're doing to make sure it gets passed this week. And then we go over the great news about fifth stimulus and heating up this fall and another stimulus check. And then finally, we turn to the big money that you're getting $10,000, $12,000, $22,000. This is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week, financial news channel in America. Live in the morning and taped in the afternoons. I'm next back with you with Overnight's Crypto. This video takes you right into that hit new show, Overnight's Crypto, right after this video is over. Then Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m., then noontime, and then we go into afternoons, evenings, Overnight's Crypto, Evenings Crypto. The new hit Sirloin Show is back, and then Overnight's programming, and subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. A lot of programming, a lot of fun, and a lot of information. Hit that subscribe button right now. I want you part of this family. Also, like this video. 3,000 likes. Every like helps. It also delivers extra bacon. Not. I do wish it delivered extra bacon. And consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that fourth stimulus check and why there may actually be more months of checks because of some external factors which we didn't see coming. Let's start with the House and the Senate. The House bill provides a stimulus check for the remainder of pandemic plus 1 year. That's the key words, pandemic plus 1 year. The Senate approach provides a stimulus check from July to December. So less checks with the senators. Let's go over the payouts. $1,000 a month from the House, Senate Senate amount monthly unknown, but word on the street is the senators would pay you this. Wow, that's deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000 a person, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400 a person. Could there be more checks for us? I believe there may, because the House bill provided that it would be pandemic plus 1 year. And no less than a week ago, legislators may have been saying that the pandemic's over. We'll just give you 12 months of checks, which is $13,000 from the House. But suddenly, things changed. Warren Buffett came out and said, pandemic ain't over. It is not over, says Warren Buffett. LA County came out and said, pandemic's not over. And then the airlines came out and said, pandemic's not over. We're not back with business travel. So if that's the case, you would get potentially more months than just 12, which would be more than $13,000 from the House. Compare that to the Senate and this. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate, tell me where to tune in from and how's the weather. I think you have an opinion, and I have a feeling the opinion may have been different than it was a week ago. Things are changing by the minute on this channel. Boy, you gotta stay with me for all this breaking news. Who gets this forced stimulus check? You do. Democrats represent that you would get a forced stimulus check. They represent that the same recipients of the third stimulus check would be the fourth. Single individual, $75,000 less. Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 less. Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Double it. Family of four, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Democrats want you to have a forced stimulus check. The forced stimulus check is not income. It ain't taxable. The forced stimulus check would be the same amount for everyone. And then the forced stimulus check would come monthly. It wouldn't come in waves. It's not a waivable check. So if you see the check at the coffee shop this morning getting avocado toast and you try to wave to the check, it will not wave back. Hey, check, I hope you had a good weekend. I see you're eating avocado toast. So tasteless, especially at this place. How are you? Didn't wave back. Rude check. I hope you're toast. It's not toast. It's just root, not a root check. It's just avocado toast. Not very tasty though. The forced stimulus check would come in the month of July for the month of July, and in the month of August for the month of August. And while it may not come with a side of avocado toast, it will still be coming. The Democrats, certainly Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, represented 1,000 times that the vote would be by July 4th, but they can still get you the check in the month of July. That's all that we focus on is checks, and we're going to go over all those details later in this video. But let's get a preview of the second half of this video, which is fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus heats up this fall with another stimulus check from the same committee and raising your benefits up a lifetime. OMG, that is coming up. But first, let's get some money. Jump in the live chat right now and say what money you've got for this channel. If you got in rent, post it. If you got in utilities, post it. If you got in SNAP, post it. I want to see the big numbers. It inspires me, inspires other viewers to get this big money. If you're new to this channel, this is what I do. I do not track checks with you. We are not a track checking channel. We're not a date chaser either. We're cashing checks, fortunes of checks. Every time there's an opportunity to grab checks, we grab them. In fall of 2020, it was much like now. We were waiting for second stimulus to pass, and it had not yet passed. It was December. It was the holidays. You needed money. I stepped up. I got viewers $250,000 of rent. Viewers like Tyrone got $15,000 for his family of four in Boston. And it made the difference. It paid people's bills during the holidays. You don't care what the check is called, so long as it's money, and it's a lot of it. I got viewers $25 million of EIDL loans in spring of 2020. So here we are back again. Get that pen and paper ready. And we're going to go over the big money you can get right now. And I say rent, utilities, mortgage, and internet. And I say rent is usually about $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. I was wrong. I was very wrong because viewers are getting $10,000, $12,000, $22,000 for multiple items. They're getting these sums of money daily. They're getting utilities, $3,000. I was saying a couple $100 for utilities. So post in the live chat because my numbers may be clearly lower than what you're getting, and you're doing a great job. When third stimulus passed, I said you're going to get a $14 stimulus check. Sure, but we ain't going to track that. We're going to be cashing $14,000 checks. And viewers are. So get that pen and paper ready. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID. Each place has different eligibility, so if one says no, reach out to the next. Again, you'll be saying rent or utilities or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know. Of course not. Like stimulus, they don't know that word. And you don't say other words they don't know, like Mitch's wonderful singing career. We don't know that. We don't really want to know that. My ears don't want to know that either. So there you go. That is the wonderful first part of this money. And congratulations to Tim and Linda who got it. Well, the next pot is SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from the Department of Agriculture. And congratulations to John. He got $12,000 for this. Where do you get it? Reach out to Department of Agriculture. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. Gail got it as well. And it pays a fortune. A family of four now gets upwards of $16,000 in Hawaii. Why so much money? Because of two wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. John got $12,000 for SNAP, but $16,000 for family of four in Hawaii, $5,000 for rent, but viewers are getting $10,000 to $12,000. You're killing it. I'm killing it. We're all killing it. We're only 10 minutes in this video. The check on that avocado toast, you're just killing it. The toast is toast. And now we cut to the next pot of money as wonderful. It's coming back from your states. The states have been ordered to return money back to you. Oh, we love the way that sounds. In order to return money back to you due to overpayment of unemployment benefits due to computer error. Federal government has ordered states to return money back to you that had initially paid it to you due to computer error. They said it was not your computer, not your fault. It was not. And so one viewer got $5,000 from this. Where is it landing? Direct deposit that you have on file with your state. When is it landing? Reach out to your respective state for routing times. Say, state, when am I getting back that check due to computer error? And can you track it this time with a computer that actually works? And finally, the last pot of money is wonderful. It's the money coming back from IRS. If you have gotten this, jump in the live chat and post. Cog got it, Margaret got it, Tim got it, Michael got it. How much money is it? It's a lot. Let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. And can you track it? Yeah, about 70% of the time you can. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password. Go in there and do a transcript search of your name. It'll reveal stuff that you never knew. Stuff that just sort of don't want to know. You don't want other people to know either. It'll reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you pay. It'll reveal why is Mitch releasing a mixtape in conjunction with the recon bill. It will reveal what is Mitch's mixtape track list, and is kill the recon one of the songs on the on the tracks. And finally, it will reveal when you are getting that refund check. Oh my goodness, can we top that? We can, as we go into the second and huge part of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. Will the fourth stimulus recon be paying you other money on top of that stimulus check? Yeah, it will. That's not a spoiler. It's a revelation, but it ain't a spoiler. It's very much confirmed at this point. Now, what happened with this recon? What happened with this recon is it got shrunk, and thank goodness it got shrunk because it was too big. 2 Wednesdays ago, culminated 3.5 weeks of meetings between President Schumer and Pelosi saying the recon is too big. You got to take roads and bridges out of it and shrink the recon. And that's what they did. They took roads and bridges out of the recon 2 Wednesdays ago and put it in something which is now called the bipartisan. That created a 2-path process where your money stays in the recon and the bipartisan is roads and bridges. Again, your money is still in the recon. What were the benefits of it? 4 major benefits of them, many of which are not in dispute. Benefit number 1, shrunk the recon. Did you ever see the movie? It was a wonderful movie. Rick Moranis in Honey, I Shrunk the Recon. It was just a great movie. Mitch had a cameo. He was the bar singer. And Honey, I Shrunk the Recon. Now, why is this big? The fact that the recon was shrunk by putting stuff in the bipartisan for Mitch to love set the recon up to pass. Did that set up Mitch? Of course it did. It's like, here was the problem. The recon was too big. It was not going to pass. So what do? You give some stuff to Mitch so you can pass your own bill. It must really hurt, Mitch. It must really zing. I mean, it's just a horrible setup. In fact, the conservative publications even notice how this has zung or zing, or however you want to say it. A very good conservative publication that covers politics with a slant, of course, had an op-ed just a few days ago, but explains the situation brilliantly, just like how I explained to you. It starts with the obvious, but then gets at the specifics. The higher the recon was, the harder it was to pass. There you go. Then it says, by allowing Democrats to take out some of the items of the recon and put it in the bipartisan, it made the overall price tag for the recon smaller. Yeah, that's obvious. And then, in other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon now easier to pass. There you go. By taking stuff out of the recon, putting it in the bipartisan roads and bridges, it made it easier to pass the recon. It was now smaller, easier to pass. Mitch, do you feel used? It's just, sorry to set you up on that, Mitch. It is, it's just so obvious. The Republicans have nothing to gain by blessing the bipartisan, because all it did was set up an ungodly amount for the recon to pass. That must really hurt. Sorry, Mitch. So that was benefit number one. Now it's a passable item. And you can see that discussed later in this video, that had they called the vote before they separated them, it would not have passed. And you're going to see later in this video, and I'm going to give you a preview, that Jalapal actually slips up and says that she was asking her caucus about this before they split it. That's how big an issue this was. That before we had 2 pass, which started 2 Wednesdays ago, before we had 2 pass, Jalapal had been asking her caucus, what would you do for the voting with these 2 things separated? So they not only plotted out the separation, but plotted out the voting, which is the third part of this video. Second benefit of of this new separation, this 2-path, is that the recon got its own identity. And I fully believe that even down to the finish line, the naysayers will just sort of, make fools of themselves, because the naysayers will continue to say, there's nothing in the recon, it's just roads and bridges. No, roads and bridges are no longer in the recon, and your brain cells have left your body. They're not there either. The roads and bridges are not in the recon anymore, so you can't use that story. There's nothing in there but roads and bridges, which what a lot of naysayers have said. What's left in the recon is only checks. And it's just progressive checks for lots of things. Checks for stimulus, they represent. Checks for the CARES economy. Checks for seniors. Checks for medicine. Checks for children's. Checks for climate. Checks. It just keeps on going on. More checks for just everything else. And that's why Mitch is so angry, because he said the recon should never pass. It's horrible. It's a progressive wish list. It's just Democrats out of control. It's just stimulus for socialism. Yeah, thank you. That's what it is. Thank you for telling the American people what it is. And finally, what made it even better, now that the recon was shrunk because the roads and bridges was out, guess what happened? The progressives started adding stuff back into the recon that wasn't in there before. Now that you had shrunk the recon in price tag because you took out the huge behemoth, expensive roads and bridges, now there was space to put more spending into the recon. And guess what they're doing? That's what they're doing. They're adding more things in there. Beep, beep, beep. You hear that? That's the U-Haul truck being driven by Bernie, backing it up and putting stuff into the recon. And they don't hide it. Representative Ilar Omar, Democrat progressive out of Minnesota. We have a commitment that regardless of what happens with the bipartisan, we will get a recon that goes as far as we want it. That's about as aggressive as you could be. It's like, if I want a big recon, I'm getting a big recon. You can't stop me. Wow. The Progressive Caucus has repeatedly told the White House that they won't support any bipartisan unless the recon goes super large. Wow. And then Representative Rishi Torres, Democrat of New York and Progressive, says, I refuse to vote for the bipartisan unless the recon is huge. And it has to also have his affordable, it has to have his housing in there. Housing? What housing? Yeah, so suddenly they're piling in stuff into the recon, which they're not all going to debrief us on. A lot of people like transparency and think that Congress is all about transparency. They're not. They don't show you all the provisions of the recon that are in there. So they window dress things, calling it roads and bridges when it's not. Calling it, the American Infrastructure Glorification Act or whatever the name was. And now it's just, there's no infrastructure in there. There's no roads and bridges in there. Now there's just a lot of progressive checks. And if they can put more progressive checks, they're going to put them in there. Why? Because of the third reason. They have protection of it. Now that the recon is only recon, progressiveness, now it's protected. Here's what you need to remember. Is progressives write the recon for progressives to be passed by progressives, or you can call it Democrats as well. Democrats write the recon for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. The recon is not for the GOP. GOP is not writing it. They're not even touching it. They're not looking at it. They don't want it. They're not going to vote in favor of it. They're staying away from it. So the progressives are going as big and bold as they want, and guess why also? Because the president told them to go as big and bold as they want. The president gave them a carte blanche to go as big as they want in this recon. Jalapal said that the president told her weeks ago that he is protecting her back and she's protecting his back for progressive policies in there. And then Brian Schatz said the White House has repeatedly told him that the progressive priorities in the recon Are the White House's priorities? Of course they are, because the only things that are in the recon are progressiveness. Checks for you, checks for the climate, checks for the cares economy, checks for seniors, checks for medicine, checks for children, just checks for everything left and right. And viewers are always asking me if there's a check for that thing, a check for this thing. You never know. I mean, you don't know down to the last second. How do we get to the spot? Jalopal had wrote Schumer a letter over 2 weeks ago saying Chuck call the vote. That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who said, when we do forced stimulus recon, we're going to put the monthly stimulus check in there. Can we top that? We can. As 7 members of the House Ways and Means Committee wrote the president a letter about a week ago saying, when we write forced stimulus recon, we're going to be putting forced stimulus monthly stimulus checks in there. Wow. Now, who are these people? They're the people writing the forced stimulus recon. Remember, they're not Republicans writing it, they're Democrats. And what else have they done in the past? They wrote your third stimulus recon in January. They're writing your fifth stimulus recon this fall for next year. And they wrote your first and second stimulus check. They're also on the House subcommittee, House Ways and Means, is solely and exclusively responsible for writing stimulus checks by recon. Wow. Can we top that? We can. As the president went overseas 3 weeks ago to anchor forced stimulus recon to the finish line because corporate taxes used to pay for forced stimulus recon are now easier. What's going on here? This is where we talk about window dressing, or the cover doesn't match the book, or whatever you want to use as your expression this morning. But remember, the president originally told America, I have to raise your taxes to pay for roads and bridges. I'm smirking because it's not really accurate what he said. He needs to raise your corporate taxes to pay for his recon. Whether roads and bridges are in the recon or not. That's not exactly how he said it. He needs raise your corporate taxes to pay for the recon. And if the recon has stuff in there that has nothing to do with roads and bridges, he still needs to raise your corporate taxes. So he needs to raise your corporate taxes to pay for someone's medical bills. That doesn't sound as convincing as I need to raise your corporate taxes to fix a crumbling bridge, but that's where we are. And he is using your corporate taxes to pay for recon. And he's not changing his message now that roads and bridges are out of there. But what did he do? Well, 3 weeks ago, he had reached out to those countries overseas, said, hey, I'm raising our corporate taxes here, and I'm worried business may move overseas to where your rates are lower. Can you... And the country said, yeah, see us in December. So he reached out to his staff and said, staff, can we go meet these countries overseas in December? Have them sign on the dotted line. And the staff said, Mr. President, what do you want to do? I want to bring them some of Jill's potpourri in December. And the staff said, Mr. President, you can bring them potpourri in June. It's Europe. They do things reverse. They're close to the equator. What type of geography has my staff learned? Europe is close to the equator? I don't know. It must be leftovers from another. I don't know. You gotta go back to school. Oh, must be Yale. Somewhere Anna's laughing because I put a Yale joke in there. So it must be the Yaleys on the staff. Confused about where the equator is. So there you go. So he said, no, they went overseas 3 weeks ago and they had those countries say on the dotted line now that the minimum corporate tax rate is raised, anchoring forced stimulus to the edge of the finish line now because forced stimulus recon is paid for by raising corporate taxes. But because the forced stimulus recon no longer needs international corporate taxes, issues rest in there because it's in the international agreement, it makes it easier to pass forced stimulus recon by the people who wrote forced stimulus recon for the party that wants the forced stimulus recon. Wow, now that's smart planning. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the third part of your forced stimulus check update of this early morning's broadcast, as we go over how they do the vote, what they're doing this week, and understanding doing things right is a lot better than doing things rushed and incorrect. I'll go over all the details for you as well. We also cut over the fifth stimulus. But first, it's something even more wonderful, the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, mortgage, or internet, or SNAP, and if trying to find it, don't worry. Reach out to the volunteers. If you see the people in the live chat posting it, that should inspire you. Reach out to them. Where are these volunteers? They're in the community page. How do you find the community page? Open the description of this video. Go down, you'll see an emoji of a house. Next to it will be a picture of Nancy's face. No, that's not there. It'll be a link to the community page, news.la.com/community. There's a picture of some kitty cats lower on the page of the volunteers. Reach out to them and they'll help you get that rent, utilities, internet. And I will be back in 60 seconds with you with a big, exciting update about your forced stimulus and what's happening this week on this early morning's broadcast. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee's brewing on this big morning's broadcast of Early Mornings LALATE. How are you? Hope you had a beautiful weekend. Hope you have a beautiful week. We're going to have a lot of breaking news across the board this week, so stay with me. It's going to be an exciting week. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. 400,000 subscribers in 1 year. Next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video. Every like helps. It helps in the algorithm rankings. It also delivers a side of pineapple. And consider becoming a member. Coming up next on this video, after this video is over, it'll take you automatically into Overnight's Crypto. So stay on this video, you'll slide right into Overnight's Crypto. Then I'm back with you with Mornings LALATE live at 9 a.m., Mornings Crypto at 9:30, and noontime Ella on this channel at 11 a.m. Let's get right into fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is heating up and getting really fascinating. First, there'll be a fifth stimulus check. Those House members on that House Ways and Means subcommittee will be doing a fifth stimulus recon, and they represent that the fifth stimulus recon in there will have a fifth stimulus check. This will be January 22, 2022, but the legislation of it will start in the fall and go for a vote by around November, December. Number two, the president has dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration to ensure you get your checks on the future coming on time. This is your fourth, your fifth, and any monthly checks. Moreover, if you're missing a first, second, or third stimulus check, you have to do two things: file a tax return and request it on the tax return. If you haven't requested on the tax return or done both things, contact a tax preparer and get it done right. Finally, the big fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up a lifetime. And this week, we're going to see a lot more economic data. What happened on Friday? One, we had the new payroll numbers up, showed inflation red hot. Wednesday, lumber numbers dropped 40%, lowest drop, biggest drop in 1 month, as home sales went up. Number three, we also saw the surprising details of the CPI, PPI over the last week, suggesting inflation's getting red hot. And finally, Jay Powell said, your inflation rate will reach its highest price point in December. You're head of the Federal Reserve. Well, how does this play out for your SSI and SSDI reform? Let's go over all the analysis of this starting right now. First, they'll raise your benefits up one big time. They'll remove the asset limits, add an inflationary benchmark. Then they'll remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how that calculates starting right now. A lot of these details you have learned, and as a family, you've really been able to absorb and understand how these details work. And we're really waiting for two items: get it done, voted. And then finally, how high is that inflation rate going to be? First, they're going to raise your benefits up under fifth stimulus one time. Who is this? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple benefits, they'll be raised up. Then they'll apply the benchmark. Well, you know that a benchmark is for next year's benefits. Second, you know a benchmark is done in December for next year's benefits. Third, you know the new benchmark will be inflation. Fourth, you know inflation's going up. And fifth, you know that it's going to reach its peak around December. So what's left to know? Just what's the number? We won't know until December. But Wall Street is still hedging on about a 10% inflation rate. Well, if that's the case, your benefits will step up not just 10% next year, lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. This is huge. This is huge because if next year inflation is 2%, then your benefits will be plus 10, plus 2% that year. If the year after that's 1%, then it's plus 10, plus 2, and plus 1%. Wow, now that's wonderful news. And also, they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have more than $3,000 in hand, and a stimulus check, and some tacos. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You will no longer fear loss of benefits, and you'll no longer be penalized for the marriage penalty. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer worry about loss of benefits. And there you go. That's fifth stimulus. But boy, if you're watching this video and you're seeing all these people post in the comments, $5,000 they got from this channel, $10,000, $12,000, and you haven't gotten anything, you're just wondering, why have I not gotten anything? Consider becoming a member. Members are delivered all the details daily from this channel. And the people posting those comments in the live chat with an emoji of a purple hawk next to their name, they are members. You get that when you become a member. Members are delivered daily from me to you, a breakdown of all the big money that's available for you under third stimulus. There was fortunes made available for you. It's still there. And why sit around tracking a check when you could be cashing checks of substantial value since day one? Consider becoming a member so you know the big money you can get and have all those details delivered from me to you via the YouTube community page daily. Which brings us to our big finale update for your fourth stimulus of 2021 starting right now. Going into the weekend, the House Ways and Means Committee and the House Budget Committee gave us a big update. They gave us a big update that they are not only in town, they are not only in the Capitol building working, they're not only in their office working, but they are in the subcommittees working on getting the recon done this week. Wow. It was refreshing to see their quotes because why? A year ago this week, we had a big series of very massive fake narratives from conservative media said everyone who is not in session is out of town and in another continent, not even working, they're on vacation. And it was just so untrue when people were still there. So clearly these legislators saw that and they want to get ahead of the story. Great news. Here's what you need to know is that that the recon is finalized in the subcommittees. And these subcommittees are the ones that write it up. These are the subcommittees that vote on it. And when they write it, when they vote it, it's not a very big public event. You're not going to see press releases and marching bands and baton twirlers saying, we're done, here you go. They may already be done with some parts, and they just haven't told us. They tell you when everything is finished with a finality, but along the way, don't give you much of an update. So that's the first thing you need to know. Second is that I believe you're going to see that fake narrative from 2020 return that plays with the word in session, two words, in session. What does this mean? You got the Capitol building, big building. One room in the building called the House floor. Another room in the building called the Senate floor. When those rooms are closed and the doors are locked, what are they called? Not in session. When they're open, it's called in session. Well, in 2020, fake conservative media ran stories that when the doors were closed and they were not in session, everyone was out of town. Oh my goodness, it was just so ridiculous. Now, clearly that's not the case. It's not true. But here's what you also need to know is that the House subcommittees don't go on break or recess or leave town just because the rooms that determine voting, floor and the Senate, are not in session. They continue to work. That's the first thing. Second, the word in session is much of an anomaly at this point with a Democratic leadership because the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So guess what? Under the Constitution, the House leader can call them back into session. The Senate leader can call them back into session. And the president can call them back into session if they want to have them vote on something right away. And remember, when they say in session, it doesn't mean they got to fly transcontinental or fly by galactic air from the other side of the planet. They're down the hall. It's just the fake media wants you to think that they're like in the South Pacific, in a deserted island with no sense of internet or telephone access, and they'll never hear the pleas. Come back into session. Oh, they're not coming back. You're going to be deserted for 5 months. It's like it's Gilligan's Island. I don't know. They're down the hall. They'll be back in session by like lunchtime, just in time for the lobster fest of some barbecue lobster. Just so that's what you need to know. Finally, you need to know that calling the vote is so critical, and you're going to see in this recording that when things are critical, people don't often admit they're critical until after the fact. And sometimes when they admit it after the fact, they slip up by revealing something they shouldn't have revealed. Who did that? Jalapal. Sorry, Jalapal. But Jalapal, if you remember early in this video, I said that the bipartisan separated from the recon, not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before that, 2 Wednesdays ago. Well, Jalapal slipped because she gave us a date for an upcoming quote, which I'm about to read for you. And the quote refers to when her House Democrats and progressives met to determine how to vote on the two-path process. I'm smirking again because the quote, based upon the day she gave the quote and based upon the number of days in the quote, puts it before the two items were split up. To recap, remember we originally had just recon and now we have recon and bipartisan? Well, her quote says that she was asking her Democratic leadership about how to call the vote when they were not yet split up. That shows the severity of the situation, that they wanted to ensure it's done right when they eventually split it up. So she says, we did a poll of our members and the overwhelming majority of our caucus said they're not going to vote on the bipartisan without the recon vote going first. So they were actually considering the situation before they even split it up. That shows how important it is to the drafter of the MSC language bill that the voting is done correctly. If you don't see the significance of how she thinks it's important, then you're sort of separating yourself from the process. Not my viewers, not my subscribers, but people sort of pass through and they only want to hear the simplicity of things. Forget that things are not often so simple. And here is the person who actually wants you to have a multiple stimulus check. She prepared weeks before it was separated away from roads and bridges to say, you gotta vote on it the right way or we have trouble. That shows her focus on details. So please be like her and focus on the detail. And that then comes to Pelosi, who said much the same thing. There ain't going to be no bipartisan bill vote unless we have a recon bill vote. And as I said, there won't be a bipartisan bill vote unless we have a recon bill vote. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. There ain't going to be a bipartisan bill vote unless we have a recon bill vote passed, a recon bill passed by the United States Senate. Wow. What's going on? Well, remember, the recon was not passable when it was that behemoth bore the 2 Wednesdays ago. When included roads and bridges, it was not passable. Now that we have two passed with roads and bridges separated in the bipartisan and recon over here, it is now passable. But the other issue is you have to do it the right way. What's the wrong way? The way Mitch wants it done. Mitch has said, just call the bipartisan for a vote. I don't care what day you do your recon. You can do your recon any day for a vote. To which, if you're not informed and watching the videos, you may say, hey, I'm happy. Our vote is on our recon is Wednesday. Yeah, you're not happy if you find out that Mitch got the bipartisan vote on a Monday because your recon's going to die. But you don't have to worry about that. Let's go over what's going on. The recon must be voted first or concurrently with the bipartisan. It must, categorically must be voted first before the bipartisan or concurrently with the bipartisan. If it's called for a vote after the bipartisan, it dies. It doesn't pass and you don't get any money. And that's the end of the whole rodeo. So this is a key issue. Now, the other issue is you don't have to worry about this because Leader Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and the president, and Jalapal have all bridged the subject matter with how many people did Jalapal say? Her entire caucus. What did she say? Our entire membership. Over 2 weeks ago, they went over this. So they've all made sure that this is done correctly. Understand, doing it correctly is the key issue because if you do it correctly, you get the money. If you do it incorrectly, you don't. And with that, thank you for joining me on this big early mornings broadcast. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. Stay on this video. It'll take you automatically into Overnight's Crypto. Then we go into Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. 11 a.m. is 9:30 is Mornings Crypto, and then 11 a.m. is New Time. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning across the board. I hope you had a beautiful 4th of July, and the excitement continues all weekend long on this channel. Stay here with all the excitement across the board. It's going to be a big week with a lot of details. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning, and stay with LA for more.